The morning Jesse threw his iPad across the room was the same morning I discovered someone had stolen nearly every penny of his future. My name is Kiara, and I'm what polite society calls a special needs parent. What they really mean is that I'm the mother of a beautiful 7-year-old boy who sees the world differently than most people. Jesse is nonverbal autistic, and that morning he was having none of it with his speech therapy app. "Breathe, baby," I said, picking up the iPad and checking for cracks. "We can try again later." Jesse flapped his hands, his way of saying he was overwhelmed. "I got it. Some days are harder than others." I pulled him into a gentle hug, careful not to squeeze too tight. He doesn't always like that. The familiar scent of his apple shampoo filled my nose as I stroked his dark curls. My phone buzzed. Another call from the bank. I'd been dodging them all morning, trying to get Jesse ready for his therapy session. But this time, I knew I had to answer. "Ms. Dawson?" The voice was crisp, professional. "This is Sandra from First National. We've been trying to reach you about some unusual activity in your son's trust account." I stepped into the hallway, keeping one eye on Jesse through the doorway. "What kind of unusual activity?" There have been several large withdrawals over the past few months. The account balance is currently $76.14. The world tilted sideways. "That's impossible. There should be over $200,000 in that account." "Let me pull up the transaction history," Sandra said. Papers shuffled. The withdrawals were authorized by a co-signatory, Teresa Brewer, my Aunt Teresa, the same aunt who'd sworn on my mother's grave she'd help protect Jesse's future, the same aunt who'd insisted I add her as an emergency signatory, just in case something happens to you, darling. "When was the last withdrawal?" My voice sounded strange, distant. 3 days ago. $50,000. Jesse appeared in the doorway, clutching his stuffed lion. He could always sense when something was wrong. I forced a smile for him while my free hand curled into a fist. "Send me everything," I said. "Every transaction, every authorization, everything." I ended the call and checked the time. Jesse's therapy session started in 20 minutes. I couldn't fall apart now. I got him into his car seat, handed him his lion, and started driving on autopilot. The documents arrived in my email before we reached the therapy center. Red numbers jumped out at me at every stoplight. Withdrawal after withdrawal, each one perfectly timed to avoid triggering automatic alerts. This wasn't impulse. This was calculated. I dropped Jesse off with his therapist, Lisa, who immediately noticed something was wrong. "Are you okay?" she asked, her hand on my arm. "Just family stuff," I managed. "I'll be back in an hour." In the parking lot, I pulled up Teresa's number. My hands shook as I pressed dial. She answered on the second ring, her voice dripping honey. "Kiara, what a lovely surprise. Where's Jesse's money?" A pause, then a soft laugh that made my skin crawl. "Oh, that? Well, you see, Savannah got accepted into this wonderful summer program at Oxford. Very prestigious. The timing was just perfect, really." "You stole my son's future to send your daughter to summer camp? Now, darling, let's not be dramatic. Savannah has real potential. She's going places. And let's be honest," her voice dropped to a stage whisper, "that boy was never going to college." The phone creaked in my grip. That money was for his care, his therapy, his future. "Oh, please," Teresa scoffed. "The state takes care of people like him. Besides, family helps family. Savannah needed this opportunity." "Jesse is family, too." "Is he? Really?" The honey in her voice turned to vinegar. "Look, what's done is done. I had legal access to that account, and I made an executive decision. Perhaps if you'd managed your life better, you wouldn't have needed to set up a charity fund in the first place." I watched a mother and daughter walk into the therapy center, the little girl skipping, the mother laughing. 7 years of swallowed comments, forced smiles, and quiet dignity crystallized into something hard and sharp in my chest. "You're right about one thing," I said quietly. "Family helps family, and I'm going to help you understand exactly what you've done." I hung up before she could respond. Through the window, I could see Jesse in his session, carefully stacking blocks with his therapist. My sweet, beautiful boy, who deserved so much better than an aunt who saw him as less than human. I opened my contacts and scrolled to my cousin Paige's number. She'd been warning me about Teresa for years. Time to find out just how deep this rabbit hole went. The game was on. Paige was already waiting at our usual coffee shop when I arrived, 2 steaming mugs on the table. The familiar scent of vanilla latte did nothing to calm the storm in my chest. "You look like hell," she said, pushing one mug toward me. "Remember when you told me Teresa couldn't be trusted?" I slid my phone across the table, the bank statement displayed. Guess who just emptied Jesse's entire trust fund? Paige's eyes widened as she scrolled through the transactions. "Holy shit!" She looked up. "Oxford summer program? How did you know?" "Savannah's been plastering it all over Instagram. Designer shopping sprees, too." She handed the phone back. "Teresa's been bragging about her gifted daughter at every family dinner." The coffee turned bitter in my mouth as memories flooded back. Jesse's diagnosis day. Teresa standing in the hospital hallway, her face a mask of pity and disgust. "Such a shame," she'd said, patting my hand. "But you're so brave, Kiara, taking on this burden." I'd been too shell-shocked to respond then, too focused on learning about therapies, treatments, and how to be the mother Jesse needed. "Remember Thanksgiving 3 years ago?" Paige asked, interrupting my thoughts. God, how could I forget? It had been Jesse's first major holiday with the extended family. He'd been overwhelmed by the noise, the crowds, the unfamiliar faces. When he started stimming, rocking back and forth to self-soothe, Teresa had pulled her daughter away like autism was contagious. "Poor Kiara," she'd announced to the room. "It must be so hard watching Savannah excel while your Jessie, well, she's always been like this," Paige said, stirring her coffee. "The perfect mother with the perfect daughter. Everyone else is just a supporting character in the Teresa show." I trusted her. My voice cracked. I made her a signatory because she promised to look after Jessie if anything happened to me. She swore on Mom's grave. Paige reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. A lawyer, maybe? The police?" "The police won't do much." She had legal access. Paige hesitated, then pulled out her business card and wrote a number on the back. "But I know someone who might help." "A lawyer?" "Not exactly. Let's say he specializes in exposing people who abuse financial trust. He helped my friend recover money from her embezzling business partner last year." I studied the number. "Is he legal?" "Legal enough. He's a forensic accountant with some additional skills." Paige leaned forward. "Look, Teresa's not just going to give the money back. She probably doesn't even have it anymore. But if you want to make her pay, really pay, this guy can help." My phone buzzed, a Facebook notification. Teresa had tagged me in a post. With trembling fingers, I opened it. So proud of my beautiful Savannah starting her Oxford journey. Some children are just destined for greatness. Blessed, Shiro, proud mama, Ichi, family first. The photo showed Savannah in designer clothes, posing next to a brand new Mercedes. My son's future, transformed into a teenage girl's Instagram backdrop. "Call him," I said, my voice steel. "Set up a meeting." "Are you sure? Once you start this?" "You know what Teresa said to me this morning? That Jessie was never going to college anyway." I gripped my mug so hard my knuckles went white. She stole his future because she decided he didn't deserve one. Paige was already dialing. "Kyle, it's Paige. I have someone you need to meet." She listened for a moment. "Yes, it's financial. Family trust fund. No, worse. It's about a special needs child's care money." A pause. I could hear a male voice speaking rapidly. "Tomorrow at 2? Perfect." Paige ended the call. "He's in. Said this kind of case is his specialty." "What exactly does he do?" "He follows the money, all of it, Every transaction, every purchase, every hidden account. And then a small, fierce smile crossed her face. He makes sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person they're dealing with. I thought of Jesse, innocently stacking his blocks while his aunt liquidated his safety net. I thought of Teresa's smug voice this morning, so certain of her superiority, so convinced of her right to decide whose child deserved a future. Tomorrow at 2, I confirmed, standing up. And Paige, thank you. She grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. Ciara, make her regret it. Make her regret ever looking down on that beautiful boy of yours. I nodded, a cold clarity settling over me. Teresa wanted to play family values? Fine. Let's see how those values held up under a spotlight. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. Kyle's office wasn't what I expected. Instead of some dark basement hacker lair, it was a bright, modern space with potted plants and abstract art. The man himself looked more like an accountant than a digital vigilante. Pressed shirt, neat haircut, rectangular glasses. Tell me about the trust fund, he said, gesturing for me to sit. I laid out the whole story, setting up the account after Jesse's diagnosis, adding Teresa as an emergency signatory, discovering the theft. Kyle typed notes on a sleek laptop, his expression neutral. And you have the original trust documentation? I pulled out the folder I'd brought. Everything. Bank statements, withdrawal records, the signatory agreement. Teresa didn't even try to hide it. They never do. He smiled slightly. People like your aunt operate on the assumption that they're untouchable, that their victims will be too ashamed or powerless to fight back. She thinks I should be grateful, I said, the words bitter in my mouth. Like she did me a favor by redirecting the money to someone more worthy. Kyle stopped typing. Tell me about your son. The question caught me off guard. Most people avoided asking about Jesse directly. He's 7, nonverbal autistic. He loves building things, anything with patterns. He can solve puzzles faster than I can. When he's happy, he flaps his hands like he's trying to take flight. I swallowed hard. That money was supposed to ensure he'd always have care, even if something happened to me. Kyle nodded, then turned his laptop around. On the screen was a complex flowchart of transactions. Your aunt's been busy, he said. The first withdrawal went straight to Oxford's summer program, $50,000. Then there's the Mercedes dealership, $80,000. Designer boutiques, luxury spas, first-class flights. He scrolled through a seemingly endless list. She burned through that money like she was trying to erase it. Can we get it back? Legally? You might recover some, but it would be a long, expensive battle. She had authorization, even if she abused it. He leaned forward. But there's another way to make her pay. I'm listening. Every transaction leaves a trail. Every purchase, every transfer, every attempt to hide money. It all creates a digital footprint. I can trace it all, document it, package it into a very interesting story. His eyes met mine. The question is, what do you want to do with that story? I thought of Teresa's Facebook posts, her constant parading of Savannah's achievements. How much of that perfect image was built on stolen money? I want everyone to know, I said. Every family member, every friend, every social media follower. I want them to see exactly who she is. Kyle's fingers flew across the keyboard. The annual family reunion is next month, right? According to her social media, she's giving some kind of speech. About family values, I laughed humorlessly. She does it every year. Perfect timing. He turned the laptop again, showing me a draft report. I can have everything ready by then. Bank records, purchase histories, timestamps matching her social media brags about Savannah's new car with withdrawals from Jesse's account. Will it be enough? Trust me, when people see how she systematically drained a disabled child's care fund to buy her daughter luxury items, he shook his head. The court of public opinion can be far more devastating than any legal judgment. My phone buzzed, another Facebook notification. Teresa posting photos of Savannah's Oxford orientation. Proud mama, blessed life. Family first. Do it, I said. Show me everything you find. Kyle worked for the next hour, walking me through his findings. The pattern was clear. Every major withdrawal coincided with a social media post about Savannah's achievements. Teresa hadn't just stolen the money, she'd flaunted it. One more thing, Kyle said as I stood to leave. Are you sure you want to go this route? Once it's done, there's no going back. Family dynamics will change forever. I pulled out my phone, showing him a picture of Jesse from that morning, concentrated on his block tower, his stuffed lion watching guard. She changed those dynamics the moment she decided my son's future was worth less than her daughter's summer vacation. Kyle studied the photo longer than necessary. I'll have everything ready in 2 weeks. We can review the final package before the reunion. At the door, he touched my arm lightly. For what it's worth, your son is lucky to have you fighting for him. I drove home in a daze, my mind racing with possibilities. Teresa had spent years building her reputation as the family matriarch, the perfect mother, the keeper of traditional values. Time to show everyone what those values really cost. The pre-reunion wine night at Giselle's house was exactly as insufferable as I expected. Crystal glasses clinked, fake laughter echoed, and Teresa held court like a queen in her element. I nursed my single glass of Prosecco, watching. "Oh my God, is that a new Mercedes?" Giselle squealed as Teresa pulled into the driveway. The ruby-red car gleamed under the porch lights. $200,000 of stolen future, polished to perfection. "Just a little something?" Teresa smiled, adjusting her designer blazer. "Richard says I deserve to treat myself sometimes." My phone vibrated. A text from Kyle. "Found 3 more hidden transfers. Ready when you are." "Kiara," Teresa's voice dripped honey. "Darling, you made it. How's Jesse doing?" The pause before my son's name was subtle, but deliberate. 7 pairs of eyes turned to me, waiting for the usual uncomfortable moment when the special needs mom had to explain her child. "He's wonderful," I said, taking a deliberate sip. "He mastered a new communication app last week." "Oh, how nice." Teresa's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Savannah just finished her first week at Oxford, top of her summer intensive already." "I saw the posts," I said. "That program must be expensive." A flicker of something, fear, crossed Teresa's face before she laughed. "Well, you know what they say. You can't put a price on education." "Unless it's someone else's education fund," I muttered into my glass. "What was that, dear?" "Nothing. Just admiring your new car." Giselle, ever the gossip, bounced over. "Teresa, you have to tell everyone about your speech for the reunion. She's doing this amazing presentation about family values," she explained to the room. "I'm recording the whole thing for the family archive." "Are you now?" I asked, suddenly very interested. "Oh, yes," Giselle waved her phone. "Teresa's going to talk about legacy, tradition, how important it is to support each other. You know, real family values." Teresa preened. "Well, I do think it's important to show the younger generation what real success looks like, what you can achieve with the right priorities." The word hung in the air like poison. I thought of Jesse's empty trust fund, of Kyle's flowcharts showing how methodically Teresa had drained it. "Speaking of priorities," Giselle turned to me, wine sloshing in her glass. "Are you still taking the bus everywhere? You should really think about getting a car." "Public transport is environmentally friendly," I said blandly, watching Teresa's perfectly manicured hands tighten around her glass. "But so inconvenient with Jesse's condition," Teresa chimed in. "Though I suppose you're used to making sacrifices." My phone buzzed again. "Kyle. Final report ready. Impact maximum if released during speech." "Actually," I smiled at Teresa, "I believe in investing in the future. Some things are more important than luxury cars." Teresa's eyes narrowed slightly. Before she could respond, Giselle clapped her hands. Oh, did everyone see Savannah's latest Instagram? Show them the Oxford photos, Teresa. As Teresa pulled out her phone, I watched her scroll past dozens of shopping sprees and spa days, each one paid for with my son's future. The other women cooed over Savannah's designer outfits, her dorm room view, her new friends. She's going to do such amazing things, Teresa gushed. Some children just have that special something, you know. The room murmured in agreement. I felt their sideways glances, their unspoken comparisons between Savannah's golden future and my son's limitations. The reunion's going to be perfect, Giselle sighed happily. Teresa's speech, all the family together, celebrating real achievement. My phone lit up one last time. Kyle had sent a preview of the report. The first page showed a simple timeline. Jesse's trust fund deposits on one side, Teresa's withdrawals, and Savannah's social media posts on the other. The pattern was devastating in its clarity. Yes, I said, finishing my Prosecco. It's going to be quite a celebration. Teresa caught something in my tone. She studied me over her wine glass, uncertainty flickering behind her confident facade. More Prosecco, Chiara? She offered too brightly. No thanks. I should get home to Jesse. His night routine is very important. Of course it is, dear. Teresa's smile was pure condescension. We all do what we can with what we're given. I gathered my purse, pausing at the door. You know, Teresa, you're right about one thing. The reunion will be memorable. I can't wait to hear your speech about family values. The drive home was quiet. In my mind, I could already see it. Teresa at the podium, preaching about legacy and success, while every phone in the audience lit up with the truth. Some things really are priceless. The timing has to be perfect, Kyle said, spreading documents across his desk. We were doing our final review before the reunion, now just 2 days away. Too early, and she'll have time to spin it. Too late, and people will have started leaving. During her speech, I confirmed, when she's talking about family values. Paige, who joined us for the strategy session, snorted. The irony is almost too perfect. Kyle pulled up a presentation on his laptop. I've organized everything chronologically. First slide shows the trust fund's original purpose, Jesse's care, then we follow the money. He clicked through images. Every withdrawal matched to a purchase. Every purchase matched to a social media post. It tells a story even Teresa can't explain away. What about legal backlash? Paige asked. Everything here is factual and documented. She had legal access, yes, but the pattern of spending proves intent. Kyle adjusted his glasses. Besides, the court of public opinion moves faster than any legal system. My phone lit up with a text from Valentina, Jesse's godmother. He had a great day at therapy, built a tower taller than me. I showed them the photo of Jesse's creation. This is what she stole from. Not just money, opportunity, progress, independence. Kyle studied the picture longer than necessary. The report's ready. I just need your final approval to set up the mass distribution. How exactly will it work, Wouch? I asked. I've collected phone numbers from the reunion RSVP list. When I send the signal, everyone gets a link simultaneously. The preview will show just enough to make them click. A photo of Teresa's Mercedes next to a withdrawal receipt from Jesse's account. Paige leaned forward. And you're sure about the timing? Giselle's recording the speech, remember? She's already bragged about her perfect viewing spot near the podium. When Teresa hits her peak sanctimony about family values, Kyle mimed pressing a button. Everyone's phone buzzes at once. I imagined the scene. Teresa in her designer outfit, preaching about success and tradition, while her carefully constructed image crumbled in real time. There's something else, Kyle said quietly. I found more accounts. Teresa's been doing this for years, borrowing from family members, manipulating joint accounts. Your son's trust fund was just her biggest target. Of course it was, I said bitterly, because who would believe the special needs mom over the family matriarch? That's why the report includes everything, every transaction, every victim. Once people start talking, Paige trailed off. She'll never recover, Kyle finished. A memory surfaced. Jesse's 4th birthday party. Teresa had shown up late, made a show of giving him an educational gift he couldn't use, then spent the entire time telling anyone who'd listen about Savannah's latest achievements. He'll never be like normal children, she'd whispered to another aunt. Kiara should really consider long-term care options. Do it, I said. Send everything. Kyle nodded, but his expression was serious. Once this goes live, there's no taking it back. The family will implode. Relationships will break. Are you ready for that? She broke those relationships the moment she decided my son's care fund was her personal ATM. There's one more thing. Paige pulled out some legal papers. I had these drawn up. New power of attorney documents, revoking Teresa's access to everything. We can have them notarized right after the reveal. Perfect, Kyle said. I'll witness the signatures myself. We spent the next hour reviewing the final details. Kyle had thought of everything. Backup distribution methods, screen recordings of Teresa's social media brags, even archived bank statements showing the systematic draining of the account. As I stood to leave, Kyle caught my arm. Ciara, what you're doing? It's not just revenge, it's justice. Is it? I asked quietly. Because sometimes it feels like I'm becoming just like her. No, Paige said firmly. She stole from a child because she could. You're exposing the truth because you must. There's a difference. My phone buzzed again. Another Facebook notification. Teresa posting about the upcoming reunion. So excited to share some wisdom about family values. Some people just understand the importance of legacy. Char blessed bar our family, first bar proud mama. Saturday, I said, my resolve hardening. Let's show everyone exactly what those family values cost. Kyle nodded, already typing. I'll be in position by noon. When she takes the podium, we take her down, Paige finished. Driving home, I thought about legacy. Teresa had spent years building hers on stolen dreams and broken trust. On Saturday, that legacy would crumble, not with a whisper, but with hundreds of simultaneous notification pings. Jesse was waiting at the door when I got home, flapping his hands in excitement over a new puzzle he'd solved. I hugged him close, breathing in his familiar scent. Some legacies, I decided, were worth burning the world to protect. The reunion venue looked like something out of a Southern Living magazine. White chairs dotted the manicured lawn, fairy lights twinkled in the trees, and a small stage stood ready for Teresa's grand performance. You look ready for war, Valentina said, helping me adjust Jesse's bow tie. He was wearing his favorite blue suit, the one that didn't bother his sensory issues. I feel ready for war, I admitted, checking my phone. Kyle had texted his confirmation. In position, everything's set. Family members were already arriving, clustering in their usual groups. I caught snippets of conversation as we walked through. Did you see Teresa's new Mercedes? Savannah's doing so well at Oxford. Such a shame about Kiara's situation. Jesse clutched his stuffed lion tighter, sensing the tension. I squeezed his hand. It's okay, baby, just a little longer. Giselle bustled past, phone at the ready. Perfect lighting for recording. Teresa's speech is going to be amazing. Wouldn't miss it for the world, I smiled. Greg, the family patriarch, took the stage first. His voice boomed across the lawn. Family is everything. Tradition is everything. And nobody understands that better than our own Teresa. I spotted Kyle setting up his laptop at a corner table, looking every bit the professional event photographer he was pretending to be. Paige stood nearby, legal documents hidden in her designer clutch. Then Teresa appeared, resplendent in an outfit that probably cost more than 3 months of Jesse's therapy. Savannah trailed behind her, texting rapidly on the latest iPhone, another trust fund purchase, according to Kyle's records. My dear family, Teresa began, her voice dripping sincerity. Today I want to talk about values, about legacy, about what it means to truly support each other. Jesse started humming softly, his way of self-soothing in crowds. A few relatives shot us disapproving looks. I held him closer. In this family, we believe in excellence, Teresa continued, in achievement, in making the most of what God gives us. My phone vibrated. Kyle, ready when you are. Look at my Savannah, Teresa gestured to her daughter. Top of her class at Oxford's summer program, a new Mercedes for her perfect SAT scores. This is what happens when we invest in potential. I caught Paige's eye across the lawn. She nodded slightly. Some might call it privilege, Teresa's voice swelled with false humility. But I call it good stewardship, using our resources wisely, supporting those who can truly benefit. I texted Kyle one word, now. Because family, Teresa raised her glass, means protecting our legacy. It means making hard choices about where to invest our... The air filled with notification sounds, hundreds of phones buzzing and pinging at once. Teresa faltered mid-sentence. Oh my God, someone gasped. Is this real? The trust fund. Jesse's money. Giselle, still filming, dropped her phone. Teresa, what did you do? I watched as faces turned from their screens to Teresa, then to me and Jesse, then back to their phones in horror. The timeline was devastating in its simplicity. Each withdrawal from Jesse's account matched perfectly with Teresa's social media posts about Savannah's luxuries. Teresa's voice cracked. This is a mistake, a misunderstanding. The Mercedes was bought with Jesse's therapy money? Greg's wife stood up, face flushed with anger. Oxford summer program, paid for with a disabled child's care fund? Another aunt shook her head in disgust. Savannah stared at her phone, face draining of color. Mom, what did you do? Now wait just a minute. Teresa tried to regain control. I had legal access to that account, and let's be honest, that money was just sitting there. Jesse isn't going to... To what? I stood up, my voice carrying across the suddenly silent lawn. To college? To need care? To deserve a future? Jesse chose that moment to start building a tower with the dinner rolls on our table, completely oblivious to the drama unfolding around him. The simple innocence of it made Teresa's crime seem even more monstrous. I was going to pay it back, Teresa stammered. Once Savannah's career takes off. Save it, Paige stepped forward, legal documents in hand. We have a notary present. Time to sign away your access to everything. The facade finally cracked. Teresa's perfectly made-up face contorted with rage. That account should have never existed. She was irresponsible. Her son is... She stopped, suddenly aware that Giselle's phone was still recording. The family erupted into chaos. But all I could see was Jesse, carefully placing another roll on his tower, his stuffed lion watching guard. Some legacies, it turned out, destroyed themselves. The aftermath was like watching a hurricane in slow motion. Teresa stood frozen at the podium, her perfectly curated world crumbling around her in real time. I can explain, she kept saying, but nobody was listening anymore. They were too busy scrolling through Kyle's meticulously documented report. The Christmas fund, too? Greg's wife exclaimed. The one for the grandkids. And Sarah's wedding savings, someone else added. Remember how it mysteriously disappeared right before Savannah's Sweet 16? Savannah pushed through the crowd toward her mother. Is it true? Did you really steal from Jesse? Darling, please. Teresa reached for her daughter. Everything I did was for you, for your future. By stealing from my cousin, a disabled child? Savannah's voice cracked. I didn't ask for any of this. Now, Greg stepped up to the podium. Let's all calm down and... Calm down? Paige's voice cut through the chaos. She was standing by Kyle's laptop, projecting screenshots onto the venue's screen. Look at these timestamps. The day she drained the last $50,000 from Jesse's account, she posted about buying Savannah's Mercedes, called it a blessing from God. Teresa's face turned red. You ungrateful little... She lunged toward me, but several relatives held her back. "Sign the papers, Teresa," I said quietly, nodding to Paige. "Revoke your access to all family accounts. Now." "Or what?" she spat. "Or Giselle's video of your meltdown goes viral," Kyle spoke up, adjusting his glasses. "I'm sure your church group would love to see how you really feel about disabled children." Giselle, still recording, nodded enthusiastically. "This is better than any reality show." Teresa's hands shook as she signed the documents. Paige's notary friend stamped each page with professional efficiency. "My reputation," Teresa whispered. "You've destroyed everything." "No," I corrected her. "You destroyed everything. I just showed everyone the truth." Savannah stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. "I want to give it back. The car, the clothes, Oxford, all of it." "It's not your fault," I told her gently. "You didn't know." "But I should have," she insisted, "all those times you and Jesse came to family events on the bus, while I was driving a car bought with his therapy money." Jesse chose that moment to toddle over, proudly holding up his roll tower. He offered one to Savannah, a rare gesture of sharing that made my heart squeeze. "I'm so sorry," Savannah whispered, accepting the roll. "I'm so sorry." Teresa wasn't done. "You think this makes you better than me?" she snarled. "At least my daughter has a future. What's your son going to contribute to society? Who's going to remember his legacy?" The crowd gasped. Even Greg stepped back, shaking his head in disgust. "I think we're done here," Kyle said firmly, closing his laptop. "The banks have been notified. All your access has been revoked. And this video," Giselle waved her phone, "is going to get so many views. You know this is going to be viral by tomorrow morning, right?" Teresa's perfect mask finally shattered completely. "You planned this," she hissed at me. "You orchestrated this whole humiliation." "Actually," I smiled, "you did that all by yourself. I just provided the audience." "Mom," Savannah tugged at her arm, "let's go, please." But Teresa wasn't finished. She grabbed the microphone one last time. "You all think you're so righteous. I did what any good mother would do. I saw an opportunity to help my child succeed, and I took it. That money was just sitting there, wasting away on—" The mic cut off. Kyle stood by the soundboard, shaking his head. "Show's over, Teresa." The family watched in stunned silence as Teresa stormed off, her designer heels sinking into the manicured lawn. Savannah followed, shoulders slumped, already pulling up local car dealerships on her phone. "Well," Giselle announced to her camera, "I guess that's what real family values look like, folks. Don't forget to like and subscribe." Jesse tugged at my sleeve, ready to go home. As we gathered our things, relatives approached one by one, some apologizing, some offering support, many just shaking their heads in disbelief. "You okay?" Kyle asked quietly, helping me pack Jesse's toys. "Ask me tomorrow," I replied. Paige joined us, waving the notarized documents. "It's done. She can't touch any family money ever again." I watched Teresa's Mercedes peel out of the parking lot, probably for the last time. Jesse waved goodbye to his roll tower, completely unaware that he'd just witnessed the implosion of decades of family dynamics. Sometimes, I realized, karma doesn't just knock, it kicks down the door and brings receipts. The video went viral overnight, just as Giselle predicted. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since we got home from the reunion. Messages from relatives, old friends, even local news wanting comments. "Have you seen this?" Valentina texted, sending a link. Teresa's Mercedes was listed for sale on Facebook Marketplace, the description reading, "Selling due to family emergency. Price negotiable." Jesse sat at his therapy table, methodically sorting blocks by color. The morning light caught his curls, turning them golden. Some of his cousins had started a GoFundMe to help rebuild his trust fund. It had already passed $50,000. My laptop pinged with an email notification from Teresa. "You didn't have to destroy me." 5 words, no apology, no acknowledgement of what she'd done, Just accusation wrapped in self-pity. Before I could respond, the doorbell rang. Kyle stood on my porch, holding a thick folder and wearing an expression that meant business. "The banks froze her accounts," he said, stepping inside. "All of them. They're launching their own investigation into financial misconduct." "Good morning to you, too," I smiled, pouring him coffee. "Sorry, He ran a hand through his hair. "The more I dig, the worse it gets. She didn't just steal from Jesse. She's been manipulating family funds for years, playing this twisted game of financial favoritism." Jesse wandered over, curious about our visitor. To my surprise, he offered Kyle one of his precious blocks, a blue one, his favorite color. "Thank you," Kyle said solemnly, accepting the block like it was made of gold. My phone buzzed again. "Savannah. Can we talk, please?" "What are you going to do?" Kyle asked, noticing my hesitation. "She's just a kid," I sighed. "She didn't ask for any of this." I texted back, "Come over." 20 minutes later, Savannah arrived in an Uber, looking nothing like the polished princess from the reunion. Her makeup was gone, her designer clothes replaced with simple jeans and a t-shirt. "I sold the car," she said without preamble, "and I withdrew from Oxford. The refund should process next week." "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did." She watched Jesse playing with his blocks. "Mom's been calling nonstop, trying to justify everything. But I keep thinking about what she said, about Jesse not having a future worth investing in." Kyle quietly excused himself, leaving us to talk. But before he left, Jesse surprised us all by giving him a quick, spontaneous hug, something he rarely did with anyone outside our immediate circle. "That's new," I said, watching Kyle's face soften with emotion. "Maybe he knows who helped protect his future," Savannah suggested. We sat in comfortable silence, watching Jesse build increasingly complex patterns with his blocks, each structure more intricate than the last, following rules only he understood. "He's amazing," Savannah said softly. "I never really saw it before, but he is." My phone lit up with another notification. Giselle's video had passed 1 million views. The comments were overwhelmingly supportive, many from parents of special needs children sharing similar stories of family discrimination. "Mom's whole life was about appearances," Savannah continued. "Perfect daughter, perfect car, perfect social media presence. But this?" She gestured to Jesse, happily lost in his own world of patterns and possibilities. "This is real." "What will you do now?" I asked. "Community college, local, get a degree in special education, maybe." She smiled slightly. "Turns out there are more important things than Oxford summer programs." Jesse finished his latest creation, a spiral of blocks that looked almost like DNA strands. He stepped back, flapping his hands in excitement. "That's beautiful, baby," I said. He beamed, then started gathering blocks for his next project. "Can I—" Savannah hesitated. "Can I come visit sometimes? Get to know my cousin properly?" Before I could answer, Jesse did something extraordinary. He walked over to Savannah and carefully placed a blue block in her hand, the same gesture he'd made with Kyle. "I think that's a yes," I smiled, watching tears well up in Savannah's eyes. My laptop pinged again, another email from Teresa. "You'll regret this. Family should protect family." I looked at Jesse, now teaching Savannah his block sorting system, at the GoFundMe notifications still flooding my phone, at Kyle's forgotten coffee cup on my counter. "Delete," I clicked, then closed my laptop. Some things weren't worth my energy anymore. Let Teresa rage into the void. Let her learn what it means to lose everything she thought she was entitled to. I had more important things to focus on. My son's future, rebuilt not just with money, but with understanding. New allies who saw his worth without question. And the quiet satisfaction of knowing that sometimes justice wears heels, carries spreadsheets, and comes with receipts. Jesse's tower grew higher, each block placed with perfect precision. His future, I realized, had never been more secure.